See, a Predator Christmas movie would really be called Jingle All the Prey. Hello and welcome to the Science Fiction and Double Feature Podcast, podcast number 51, the real people in the know call Groom Podcast. This is my co-host Terry. I'm Tim. Say hello, Terry.
Hello, Terry.
How are you this week?
Yeah, nothing's really happened. Bit of a dull week.
Okay.
But there is some breaking news.
Hit me with the breaking news. I love it.
Well, the ink's not even dry on this digital copy I'm reading
Oi!
at the Hollywood Reporter. But Sony have the rights and are developing a script to Fruit Ninja. Yeah. Yes. I got you excited for nothing, didn't I?
Well, I wasn't that excited to begin with.
Oh.
What's a fruit ninja? I've learned I'm too old now to get excited about nonsense.
It's that stupid phone game where
Okay.
you slice fruit on your phone.
I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
well, they went, hey, Angry Birds made $300 million. Let's do another phone app.
Okay. So it's about a fruit. Does it have a well? Angry Birds didn't have a narrative, so it's.
It's got a very small one, pretty standard. I did read it. Where was it? Where is it? Fruit Ninja will revolve around a team of misfits who are recruited to become fruit ninjas in order to save the world. It is animated as well.
Oh, well, I thought it was going to be all like live action and gritty myself. I thought that was
there is a line here saying that they were originally doing a live action.
Yep.
A live action one, and they kind of got hit on the head by Sony, I think, once they got the rights.
So they're going to save the world from fruit.
Yes.
Is it going to be kind of existential? Like Angry Birds was kind of about why the birds were so angry, wasn't it? And so is it going to be why the fruit is so...
There's only one Angry Bird. The rest of them were pretty chipper.
Oh, why is it called Angry Birds? None of this makes sense.
They got angry at the end because the pig stole their eggs.
This is gibberish. Why is it in the movies?
I thought I would just kick off the session with this fantastic piece of news.
Oh, you certainly did. You've kicked something. Okay, so yes, if you haven't gathered by now, we talk about movies here. We talk about movie news, movie trailers, movies we've seen, and movies that are coming out. So let's do just that. Again, another piece of astounding and baffling news. Paul Walker, who is quite notably no longer with us, having died during the production of Fast and Furious 7. In a Carrera GT, may somehow be appearing in Fast and Furious 8 alongside Helen Mirren. What year is this? What is this nonsense? Apparently, Paul Walker's brothers have been in discussions with Vin Diesel, godfather of the Fast and Furious franchise, to discuss whether they could somehow bring back Brian. I forget his last name, Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker's character, who we got quite a poignant goodbye from at the end of Fast and Furious 7. I thought it was quite tasteful the way they're going to deal with that. Now they're going to just shit all over that nonsense and, well, supposedly, and try to bring Paul Walker back. I don't think this will work. I don't think they'll end up doing it because I don't think it makes any sense. What? Wow. I don't know. It's fascinating, though, to see that this is even possible. I think the last time someone brought, genuinely brought a character and kept a character in their movie series, despite the actor being dead, was when the vampire stayed in Plan 9 from outer space, despite the death of Bela Lugosi, to go on to be played by Ed Wood's chiropractor or some such. Now, of course, it potentially could be more common given that CGI, sort of motion capture and image mapping, is now at presumably a point where this is plausible to be talked about, regardless of how tasteful it is. But no, it's a bad idea. In this case, it's a bad idea because they dealt with that issue narratively. I don't know. but it's interesting, I think, that this is even a feasible thing to be considering. That you don't necessarily need actors to be present or even alive to be in your movie somehow. This is amazing and disturbing and terrible. I don't know. They shouldn't do it, but to me, it's just fascinating that it's even feasible that this is something that could possibly happen. It kind of, I don't know. It makes you think. Like, what is the point of actors when they can simply be replicated? I don't know. Baffling. I'm guessing you don't think Paul Walker should be in Fast and Furious 8, or you have no opinion.
Closer to no opinion than
Fair
not
enough.
at all. Than not at all. I can understand it. Narratively, I can kind of understand it because Vin Diesel's character and Paul Walker's character, they're really good mates, and they didn't kill him off in the last movie. So what's he doing? Just bumming around LA getting a suntan?
Well, they decided it was too. Like, have you seen Fast
I
and
know.
Furious 7?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, yeah. It's dealt with. It's closed.
I know, but
And
they're
it's
still friends.
Yeah, but
They don't.
why?
He doesn't have to. I don't think he's coming back in a big role whatsoever. I don't think he's coming
Yeah,
back in a
no.
main role. I think it's going to be, oh, we're passing him on the street going into Coles or something. Because they
He'll
always
just
get
wave
there.
as he drives past. That seems
Yeah,
like it would be.
maybe. Or
Mm.
get him on the phone or a Skype session or something. Just get some info out of him. Well, 2 minute scene,
And the Paul Walker Goodbye
if that.
musical play.
Or they could be really ballsy and kill him off.
No, though. Well, I doubt it. He was going to die at the end of Fast and Furious 7, and they decided to edit it so that that didn't happen. I guess they thought that would be in poor taste or something.
Maybe it could be like a continuation of 7, and you know how where they take the different roads, but they're still looking at each other
Yeah.
right at the end. Well, maybe we can then follow Paul Walker, and he's not looking where he's going because he's in love with Vin Diesel, and he smashes into a tree.
Oh, and then it's the fallout of that.
Yeah,
He's going to end up like Dr. Drake Ramore, where he's just all in bandages and sort of in bed throughout the movie, and they have to go and find a cure from.
and they put his brain in someone else's.
Oh god! Oh, this is awful. In Helen Mirren. Oh no!
Oh,
This is the worst idea I've ever heard. Let's stop it now. Paul Walker.
I don't think they're gonna kill him off, and I don't think it's gonna be that major of a
I don't think
role
it'll
for us
actually
to
happen.
we
Yeah.
care about.
Rest in peace, Paul Walker, if they'll let you. Okay. Moving on. Moving on to much more exciting things. Duncan Jones, whose work you may or probably didn't see earlier this year in Warcraft, once upon a time made a fantastic little science fiction film called Moon, starring Sam Rockwell and the voice of Kevin Spacey and some emoticons and a whole lot of practical effects that were made by Gavin Rothery, I think. Has in the intervening years, the intervening 12 years? That doesn't sound right. No,
I reckon it'd be close.
he's been working for 12 years to get this film made. Mute. Mute is his new science fictional movie. It sounds really fun. It sounds like an old cyberpunk story in the mold of Blade Runner and Neuromancer and so forth. It's called Mute. It's set in Berlin, 40 years into the future. When Berlin is this multicultural, huge melting pot. And it's about a mute bartender who, and I'm reading from the Hollywood Reporter here, who goes on a journey into the underbelly of the city and encounters a pair of American surgeons, played by Paul Rudd. Shit, yeah, that sounds amazing. Who knows what? That's like creepy surgeons and a city underbelly and a character who can't speak. This sounds really moody and really, really good. It sounds like it's going to very much have the tone, a very cyberpunkish tone. Oh, it's going to be. It looks. Oh, it looks one of those weird Fiat multiplazas in the poster. Yeah, and somehow it is linked to Moon, and is part of supposedly part of a trilogy that Duncan Jones wishes to make. So I don't know how it's linked to Moon. I kind of just hope it occurs in the same universe. Maybe some offhand references to mining on the moon. Potentially, these American surgeons are involved in exactly how the goings on of Moon work. I don't really want to give away too much about Moon. Moon is a very good movie. You should watch it. Yeah, I'm excited about this. If you have only seen Duncan Jones's work in Warcraft, which I mean, it was interesting, but it wasn't great. Let's be real. Yeah, I think this is something to be excited about. You should definitely check out Moon itself. And I'm excited for this old-timey science fiction story about with Alexander Skarsgård not speaking and presumably just looking very moody. Oh, this looks good. This looks real good. Did you? Are you excited for Mute?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. I like how it's in sci-fi Casablanca, as
Yeah.
he describes it. But relating it to Moon, anything could be related to Moon. I could say Jurassic World's related to Moon because in Moon you don't see anything other than the Moon. If I recall that correctly, you're just on the Moon with Sam Rockwell.
Kevin Spacey.
Is he up there too? Is he? I don't remember him. His role in it.
Kevin Spacey was the robot that like it's just like a moving screen on tracks, and it just shows up in emoticons. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well, that's it. It's so enclosed that you can say anything could be related to Moon. But yeah, this is fun. This looks really good. So I don't know how they're going to relate it to Moon. Maybe it's not going to relate to the Moon. Maybe it's just going to be similar to Kevin Smith's Northern Exposure friggin' trilogy with Yoga Hoses and Tusk, or just like the Kaneda trilogy. Not really related, but kind of.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's loose. I'm hoping it's not like somehow a sequel or a prequel. With just some little threads that you can find. But yeah, I think it'll be more related than Jurassic Park could or potentially will be.
You don't know that. They can clone dinosaurs. I'm sure someone can be up on the moon.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's true. You know, I had that grand theory that Jurassic Park and Pacific Rim were in the same universe. Like Jurassic Park was the other side of the rift. That was the alternate aliens. It was the origin story, and that's how they. Because in Jurassic World, they're starting to create their own monsters, and that is what becomes the kaiju. And they send in, yeah. That was my theory. Yeah. And I tried to work Jupiter Ascending into it, but then I didn't want to.
That old man, dinosaur nut, Mr. Hammond's got a lot to answer for them.
Oh, you fool! You and your butt clasping pants. Oh.
They were too busy trying to think if they could. They didn't think to stop it. They didn't stop to think if they should.
See, it's the cause of so many problems in the world is when people don't listen to Jeff Goldblum. If you only listen to Jeff Goldblum, if you recycled, if you just go faster, if you do all of these things, it's just life is better.
If you get a good telecommunication plan.
What is that from?
Friends. He's Friends.
Is he is in Friends. I don't remember him in Friends.
Joey P's on him.
Oh, that's right. You're acting vertically, horizontally. Yeah, that's that's Joey doesn't actually pee on him. He just pees himself.
No, he pees on him at the end. He gives him a big hug, and he's holding the pee in to get him to act more horizontally or something. He goes, "Good work, you've done it well. Come here, bring it in, hug. Just let it all go." And so he pees on him.
I see. Okay. All right. What else is going on?
My turn. This was a really cool article I found last night. Martin Freeman is going to be in a Australian zombie thriller movie called Cargo. Now, when I read the title, I wasn't that excited because I'm a bit over zombie movies. But reading the actual article, it's really, really interesting. Get the premise. Andy, a father infected with the killer virus in the aftermath of a zombie pandemic, is stranded in rural Australia, and he has a desperate 48 hours to find a new guardian for his infant daughter and a means to protect her from his own changing nature. Salvation may lie with an isolated Aboriginal tribe, but to gain access, he must first earn the allegiance of a young Indigenous girl on a tragic quest of her own. And this sounds really, really cool because it's not just zombies are attacking, let's hit them with axes. It sounds like a really cool thriller drama as opposed to thriller horror or thriller action. I'm sure there's going to be some action in there, but it's based on a short film of the same name called Cargo. I've never heard of it, but it was like a finalist at Tropfest. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be really, really cool. It's kind of similar to. Did you watch These Final Hours?
No.
No, it was an Australian film that came out in 2014, and I wasn't that blown away by it, but I know a lot of people who think it's absolutely fantastic. And pretty much a giant meteoroid or asteroid hits Earth like up near Europe in the sea, and it just causes this gigantic tidal wave. And here in Australia, we know about it, so we're like, okay, we've got like 36 hours left before it hits us, and we're all dead. So that's what's kind of like there. That this guy, everyone's partying up, and this guy, he wants to get to this party with his girlfriend or something, and he finds this little girl on the way who's lost her family. So instead of going to the party, he kind of tries to track down her family in his final hours.
Oh, nice. I do note that it has Sarah Snook, which means I should watch it because I need to watch more things with Sarah Snook.
Of course you do. Who doesn't?
Damn straight.
I didn't think the movie that movie was that great, but I know a lot of people who absolutely love it, and it kind of sounds like along that same sort of line. You've got this major apocalyptic thing happening, but you've got this much more smaller survival story going on where you're doing it for someone else's survival. You're already lost. So, what do you think? Do you reckon Cargo sounds all right?
I do. I think it sounds like it's a really clever take on zombie stories. It does seem really heartfelt and good. I have one tiny problem with this article, which is not the story itself, which sounds really great. I think Martin Freeman will be great. What is this gibberish? Martin Freeman doesn't. Genre is not really his thing. Martin Freeman, you are the Hobbits. Genre is your thing. Be quiet. Apart from that, yeah, it looked real good. It looked really, really interesting. I think it'll be really, really good. I'm interested to see it. I don't know why it's called Cargo. Oh, the cargo is the baby because it's on
the baby's like, the cargo. Like he's in like yeah, he's training Martin Freeman.
Yeah,
jumping over rocks and hitting him in the head with a stick.
That one time he falls over. It's great.
I really do hope that the baby has a stick and just for the whole movie, just like hits him on the head with the stick the whole time. A bit like the Chinese water torture, just dripping on his head the whole time, annoying the crap out of him.
Yeah. David Gulpilil's in it, and Karen Pistorius. I know this name. Let me Google this.
Okay.
Give me conversation while I do some Googling. Karen Pistorius.
But I spoke first. I've got nothing left to say about it.
No.
Yeah, he's got some.
Oh, she was in Slow West. Okay, so someone from Slow West is in this, and cool.
No, it looks good. Looks very good.
It does look very good. Sweet.
And
yes, got more news.
I got another piece of news. The Rock has released. They've started filming in Hawaii. I think it is Jumanji. I don't know. I'm confused at the moment if it's a sequel or if it's a reboot because I've seen some things put this as Jumanji 2. So I don't know what this is anymore. But he's released a photo of him and the rest of his co-stars standing around in the jungle. and Kevin Hart's looking quite lost, and Karen Gilligan's not wearing much of anything, and Jack Black is looking ridiculous. I hate Jack Black. I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was in this movie until I read the article. I didn't even really recognize him in the photo. I just went, "Yeah, well, that's a character I don't like." When I saw the photo, um, yeah, I was on board until Jack Black. He ruins everything. He ruined. He ruined King Kong for me. But the names are pretty cool. Did you read the names on the characters? Like the
I know
Rock's
that
name
The Rock
is
is playing in that. Yeah.
Doctor Smolder Bravestone. Kevin Hart's character is Moose Finbar. Karen Gillian's name is Ruby Roundhouse. Oh, that's why she needs the skirt, so she can do the roundhouse kicks a lot easier.
That's not true, but
And
okay.
Jack Black is Professor Shelley Oberon. So he's got the most boring name ever and the most boring looking outfit with a bow tie in the jungle. He must be a gentleman. But yeah, it looks all right. Looks all right. It looks very different. I don't know. This can't be a reboot. It must be a sequel, just because it's going off on a total different tangent. From this scene, it looks like it's going on a total different tangent from the Robin Williams one.
Is the
Yeah.
deal with Karen Gillan's? Let me see here. Ruby Roundhouse, that she's a child who's been enlarged into an adult body, and that's why her outfit is so skimpy because it's children's clothes.
But she's in a miniskirt.
Well, I didn't say it made sense. Well, like
Or are they like really little shorts? They could be really little shorts.
it's
And then
clearly
that
so
makes
you can
sense.
actually yes, it's so you can see a lot of Karen Gillan, but in the way that it supposedly will make sense. Do you reckon that's going to be the justification there?
Well, as long as the writers have justified it some way into seeing more of Karen Gillian.
I'm sure
But,
it'll be a highly consistent and solid narrative device going on
it's
there.
got to be better than what Michael Bay does with Megan Fox. Hey, there's her ass.
That's true. She was leaning over that motorcycle quite a lot in Transformers 2. Oh, yeah. This looks real bad. Let's just be honest. It looks real bad.
I'm curious to see the direction it goes because when you hear Jumanji, you're going to think, okay, it's going to be the board game and it's going to be something like that, and they're brought into the all the stuff's brought into the city. Whereas this looks like that maybe they've been transferred into the jungle without the game there. So I don't know.
Who is this for? Maybe they're going to. Maybe it's like a secret government team that's off to explore the Jumanji. Like a Stargate.
Ooh.
Who is it? Like,
Well, just hope they roll.
is this for kids? Or is this for, like, older people who know the old Jumanji and is it going to be like a tongue-in-cheek sequel that's not aimed at the same audience as Jumanji, but at the same generation that watched Jumanji? What is this?
It is a continuation of the 1995 fantasy adventure film that starred Robin Williams.
Okay, that tells me nothing. But it does
So it is
sound
a
like it's not a
sequel.
reboot. Yeah.
So it is a sequel, yeah.
Why? No one wants this. Oh dear.
Judging off this image, I do like Karen Gillian in it, surprisingly.
I feel like that's just you like ladies. That's
yeah.
not. That means that's.
And the Rock looks like he's smelling something that's cooking. He's got his smelling something cooking face on.
Is it money? It might be money.
It could be Jack Black. He looks like he's downwind.
What is going on here? What is this?
I like The Rock and Karen Gillian. I could lose the other two. I reckon I just crop them out and just have the middle two.
I think The Rock should be in Karen Gillan's outfit myself. Like, he's game. We saw him in much more, just as ridiculous things in
Central Intelligence.
Central Intelligence. I reckon, like, if it is that one of them gets expanded into a from a child into an adult, and as in like revealing children's wear. It should be The Rock. That's way better.
What? Okay. So if that's a theory that it is a
Yeah.
child, what is
Yeah.
this child doing hanging around these three bums? And
Well,
if they kind of say, is it the daughter of The Rock?
no, she
Is it
stowed
going to
away
be? Oh, okay.
to explore because I don't know. She's like related to Kirsten Dunst or something. So she like hid away to find out the truth, and now yeah. Except actually, well, in my good version, it'd be The Rock as the son of Kirsten Dunst or whatever, and now he's stowed away to find out the truth of his mum's cool adventure, and then he gets expanded into, and he becomes The Rock. Hire me, Hollywood. I'm better at writing Jumanji sequels than you are. Probably. Maybe this will be like the next Citizen Kane. We'll never know. Don't know.
So you want The Rock in tiny, tiny short shorts?
I reckon it's more interesting. Like it's a lot more. It's less tedious if
But
it's
then
if
he
it's The
really
Rock
wouldn't.
that it happens to.
He really wouldn't be wearing a t-shirt at all. He'd be
Well,
wearing speedos because that's what the shorts would shrink down to.
that's the
And
joke.
he would just bust. Yeah, I know, but he just bust out of his shirt.
Oh
So
no,
you
not
just see all
pictured.
of his muscles.
Not pictured. Co-star Nick Jonas.
Yeah, he's in it too.
So is he gonna? Contains a Jonas. Do you know what a Jonas is?
One of those brothers who sings.
Mhm.
I thought it was one of the One Direction people, but that's another movie.
That's what movie has a One Direction in it?
Um, Hacksaw Ridge? No,
Ew.
it's something. One of the One Direction people. I don't know. King Kong?
Oh, maybe.
Is it King
Yeah,
Kong?
maybe.
It feels like King Kong. So that photo happened.
Yep, that was definitely a thing that happened. Let's move on to other things that happened, shall we?
All right. Yep.
Okay.
I got no trailers this week, so you can
I
talk
got to
about
power
it.
through this gibberish. All right. Passengers, the not very long awaited because no one knows anything about it sci-fi film starring Hollywood megastars Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt has released a trailer. It's kind of boring. So Passengers, we know, is about there's what's called a generation ship. Well, no, they're in suspended animation. There's a spaceship that's going to take 120 years to get somewhere, and the passengers on board are in suspended animation for the duration of the trip, except two of them, played by Hollywood megastars Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, wake up 9 years before the thing, and they're all alone on this spaceship that has a bar for some reason, and they'd kind of just hang out, and Chris Pratt drives around a robot to say hello like he's in that Macca's ad, and stuff like that happens.
Sorry, I just got that.
Yeah, and then it turns out predictably because something has to happen in the movie that that's generally how movies work. The spaceship is going to crash into the sun, and I think Chris Pratt just gives away that they were woken up for a reason. Yeah. So and Michael Sheen plays a robot bartender, which, much like Twilight, will probably be Michael Sheen will be the most interesting thing in the movie. I don't know. This is very underwhelming. It looks like it's entirely built. It's an interesting premise, but in practice, it's entirely built around these two Hollywood megastars who I like, but they're just being so megastarry. Then there's nothing here. There's no substance here for them to work with. It just that we can see, and the spaceship looks really cool, but it's just so underwhelming. Why does the spaceship have a bar? Like, what is that for?
Well,
I
I assume they plan to live on the spaceship once they wake up for a little while.
suppose, yeah. Like, I guess if you've been asleep for 120 years, you might want a Bloody Mary. That's fair. That's fair. And maybe they've just kickstarted
Mimosas or something. Mimosas when they wake up to celebrate.
Champagne breakfast because
That's
we've missed
right.
out on the last 1,000.
There was
I
a
don't know.
bar in Star Trek, so why can't there be a bar on this one?
Well, they're awake in Star Trek.
Well, they'll be
And that,
awake at the end of this one.
I don't know. It's quite strange. I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. It's very underwhelming. We don't really get a sense of who the like. It's gonna rely on these two characters because there's two of them, and they just seem very generic. Um, I don't know. I'm still gonna see it because it does look like a. It's not. It's a big budget science fiction movie that looks really. It does look quite good. And it's not part of a franchise, so that's quite rare. I think it's going to be, but I think it's going to be pretty underwhelming. I'm hoping I get pleasantly and happily surprised by that, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. What did you actually think of Passengers?
I thought they were very pretty.
They're so pretty. They're so boring. Is that part of it? Like, have they been rejuvenated in space, like while they've been asleep, into like beautiful people? I don't know.
Maybe. I'd be
Like,
taking that trip.
tell me why Chris Pratt looks so amazing. How does Andy from Parks and Rec look like this? What is happening? Good lord.
Hmm. Well, Guardians. He got in shape for Guardians.
He did, and good for him, but
Yeah.
it just looked like
Yeah, I thought it looked fine. They've got the bartender from The Shining there as well. That looks pretty cool. Um,
he's from The Shining. Oh, yes.
um, yeah, it's fine. What do you think of the ship? Did you like the drill?
It made no sense as a spaceship, but I thought it looked real cool. Yes.
Uh, yeah, I got not much to say about it. They're
Yeah.
pretty.
Check it out, because like for all my misgivings, it's an original big budget science fiction movie, and those are pretty rare. And the last one was Jupiter Ascending, so which I still absolutely love, but clearly has some problems. But yeah, so check out Passengers at the very least. All right, moving on to something that's not an original sci-fi movie. We've got 5 10-second-ish teasers for Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell, if you're not aware, is an anime from, I believe, the early 90s, possibly the late 80s, um, about a cyberpunk crime unit. Um, there's there was a movie, and there's been several movies and several TV series of Ghost in the Shell, and I've seen some of Standalone Complex, which is one of the series, and the original movies. Notably, it's Japanese, and the great controversy for this movie has been the fact that the Japanese
ScarJo is not Japanese.
by Scarlett Johansson. Um, that's kind of what's dominated the news about this movie. And again, why remake Ghost in the Shell? I don't know. Having said that, so we've got our first actual look at the movie itself, and what little we've seen does look pretty good. Visually, this looks very striking and very individual. There's some quite good visual moments here, mostly around ScarJo. Takeshi Kitane is in it. He shoots something, no one knows what. There's just some cool visuals here. It's very minimal. It's not like we see soaring vistas. It's just kind of in dark corridors and in rooms. I particularly like there's one where we just sort of get a longish shot of someone, presumably the major, in some sort of chamber, and just the resolution of the image shifts as she unplugs something. It's quite a good cyberpunk effect.
Did you
So
just unplug something?
no, some stuff fell down. It's fine. It happens all the time. Um, so yes, it does look quite good. It's also worth noting, from what little we see of Scarlett Johansson, it looks like it's going to be a good ScarJo performance. She does seem to have this otherworldly kind of unsettling robot um, uh, sort of effect going on. It does, like, I still have misgivings about this. I don't really like. You may as well just watch Ghost in the Shell. It's reasonably easy to obtain. Um, don't really need. There's no real. I don't think a live action version is going to add much, unless it's so different that that shouldn't be called Ghost in the Shell. I don't know, but yeah, so far this looks quite good. It looks visually, it looks striking, and it's going to be worth watching the trailer if you've got misgivings about this when we get just to see what it actually looks like. But yes, I thought it looked quite good. What did you think of Ghost in the Shell? Gits, if you will.
I've never seen the series or the anime or whatever else it could be, the comic. I've never seen it. I don't really know anything about it, so I'm watching it pretty blind. I liked it. There was enough there to make me want to see more. But yeah, I don't know. It still didn't grab me, but it intrigued me enough to want to watch the full trailer. So hopefully they bring that out and it's a lot more cohesive than 5-10 second things, which luckily someone compiled in one YouTube video, because how annoying is it to try and share 5-10 second things?
Yeah, it's made hyperlinking on the blog much easier to just
yes.
have to. I was going to have to do Ghost in the Shell brackets movie and then have a different link for each word.
Did you watch the fan made trailer that someone made? It got posted onto our Facebook.
I have not.
You should. It's actually really, really good. It's much better than these 5 segmented ones, and it gels it all together and makes it look really cool. So that's a really good teaser. Find that fan made one. It's on our Facebook. Someone's put it in a comment. Yeah, that looks really cool. I'm on board for that. And as to why they made this movie, I can tell you, money.
Money. But
it's profitable, and a lot of people aren't into anime and Japanese animations. So
then why call it Ghost in the Shell?
Because they're taking that premise and appealing to the people who aren't into it. Because nearly everyone is into live action and Scarlett Johansson. So that is why they're doing it, to appeal to the masses who aren't.
It doesn't look like Ghost in the, from what we can see, it doesn't look like a shot-for-shot remake, certainly. It doesn't look like it'll have much to do with Ghost in the Shell. So why call it Ghost in the Shell? Why use that property? There's usually, a lot of the time, it's not so much the premise that appeals, but it's the brand recognition. And
yes,
the people who recognize, in a lot of cases, and this one in particular, that brand, won't want to see
that. I think a lot of people would be like me, they've heard of Ghost in the Shell and heard it's really good, but never watched it or not really into anime. So this is kind of a way to appeal to them.
Well, why?
Because I would like to watch it, but I just never got into it and never. Well, not that I went out of my way not to watch it.
Does that warrant the effort on this part of the studio of making an entire movie, and warrant the effort on your part of going to the cinema when you, I don't know if this is on iTunes, but presumably you can just rent it at home?
See, yes, I think it does. I don't know. I'm interested to see this movie. It hasn't grabbed me. I'm not super excited for it, but I am interested to see it and probably will go and see it. But I'm less likely to rent the anime on iTunes.
What if they brought the anime in this case, or in a similar thing as the Disney live action remakes? What if they brought the old Disney movies back to cinemas as they were, and you could go and see them at the movies?
I could, and they do. The cinema here, twice a year or once a year, has the Disney Princess month, and they play 4 or 5 of the Disney Disney films.
That's right.
But I've never gone, mainly because they're on usually when I'm working. And there's a lot of children there dressed up as princesses, and I don't have a princess outfit, so I'd feel left out.
Fair enough. You should get one.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm more inclined to see this movie than I am to watch the anime.
Why? Is it because it has ScarJo?
No, I think they could have cast anyone, and I'd probably more likely to go see this film. I don't know. It's a weird concept.
Is it just that novelty of it's a new movie?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it could be.
I don't know. What if, I don't know. It seems like there's an easier way if you want to see this story and it already exists. Seems like there should be a way to get people to want to just see it as it is, which would be cheaper for the studios and doesn't involve treading on other people's creativity. I don't know.
And getting into the race.
Yeah, and creating this like whitewashing other people's characters, which creates a great amount of controversy and alienates alienates the fan base, alienates a huge segment of the human population potentially. What? It seems like it's more trouble than it's worth. Maybe they should just start re-releasing old movies at the movies, because you're supposed to see movies at the movies. And
like they did this year with the Iron Giant.
oh yeah. Like, why not just do bigger runs of classics instead of remaking them when you own the property? When it's cheaper to do that. I don't know. That seems like it makes more sense.
Because as you said, it's cheaper to watch it on iTunes.
Yeah, but then it's. But I mean, if you have those, but it's still like going to the cinema is an event, and you have to fill it. Like if you if you own a movie studio, you have to fill cinema seats somehow. Why not make it a big thing? I don't know. It's very strange. Is it just celebrities? Is it not actually the creativity or the content of it at all? Is it just the hype? I don't know. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe that's the only reason to keep remaking things. Give us some fake, beautiful people and a thing we already know, and just slap it up there. I'll watch it. Fuck yeah.
It could be because let's say they put Ghost in the Shell. No, let's not say Ghost in the Shell because I haven't seen it. Let's say they put Dumbo back in cinemas instead of remaking a Dumbo movie, live action Dumbo movie. Okay, so you're looking at $10 a ticket each. So everyone who's going to want to go with their kids, the kids that want to go. So that's say $40 there, plus popcorn, drinks. We're pushing $60, maybe let's say $70 probably if you got 4 people there. There's a $70 outing. Whereas you can rent if you really want to watch Dumbo, you can either buy a DVD or you can just rent it on iTunes for like $5. Go buy a packet of microwave popcorn, that's that $2, and a bowl of Coke. You're watching it for under 10 with everybody. And people's home theater systems now are pretty damn good, so it's not really that there. But with a new Dumbo movie like that Tim Burton's making, and it's a live action remake with all the CGI effects that would have been in Jungle Book, which were stunning, it makes it an event and it makes it worth spending that extra money to go see it, I think.
Because it's Tim Burton and
because it's a bit different. Because it's been reinvented a bit. The CGI is going to be looking absolutely stunning, and they're going to look like real elephants flying through the air and real racist crows sitting on a tree. Yeah, it's just going to have a bit of a different feel, a bit more of a contemporary feel, very updated, because I've noticed a lot of kids can't get into the 2D hand-drawn animations. They can't get into the old style stuff. I know other parents who said they've tried watching old Thomas the Tank Engine movie TV series, like when they have the models, and they can't get into it, but they have the 3D animated series, and the kids love it.
But then I don't know. But why make Dumbo? Why not make a new
thing?
Why not make a new story? I mean, it's going to cost you realistically just as much in terms of script writing.
But one, they're not paying for rights, like someone else hasn't already come along with it, and that, so they don't have to pay anyone out for rights of it. It's already branded. I know Ghost in the Shell here. There's controversy with Ghost in the Shell. It's not going to get the branded market really. But I can see why the studios are doing it. It's easy money. it's branded. They already got the rights to it, and the stories are just sitting there, then not making any more money for them. It's an easy thing just to get a script writer in, hash it out a little bit, and then throw a big director on it like Tim Burton and some fancy CGI, and then make bucket loads.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's profitable.
Yeah. We should write that down and put it as our slogan. That is an amazing sentence. All right, let's move. Speaking of profits, shall we move on?
Yes. Let's go to this trailer.
Let's
Profit.
move on to speaking of the righteousness of creativity. Back in the early 2000s, BMW did a film series called The Driver, starring Clive Owen as the driver, and got a bunch of, at the time, still fairly significant directors to make some short films starring their cars about a driver who was played by Clive Owen. That's starting up again with The Escape, which is directed by someone we talked about last week. Neil Blomkamp is directing a BMW movie, probably an analogy for something. It is, let me see here. I think Dakota Fanning is in this, as well as some other people. Maybe, though, and presumably a BMW. I don't know what kind of BMW. I guess it'll be an X6M. Why not? Maybe it'll be an i3. That'd be pretty good. So yes, this is a restart of the BMW short films. Usually, though, I'm guessing as a Blomkamp version, it'll be kind of actiony. We don't really get a sense much of what's going on here. It's a kind of a featurette. Clive Owen talking about the series. With some little hints of some of the famous people who will be in it. So there'll be some fast driving, someone will do a drift. Shalto Copley will probably turn up and shoot someone. Yeah, it looks interesting. It's interesting to see that this series is coming back to shamelessly sell us BMWs with good movie making. Were you interested in this at all?
No.
Yes.
BMW's making movies now. That's what I got from this.
Well, Well, they have been for a while, and it was an interesting. They were pretty good short films originally. If you were willing to accept that they're a corporate sponsored movie that's intended to make something specific. Yeah, I don't know.
It just looks like the standard spy action movie with a slick car in it, but this time BMW's actually in the title. Yeah, like we see this stuff all the time, like the premise itself, but now BMW's actually in the title and making money. It just seems, hey, movies are taking off. Let's get on that bandwagon. Because I'd never really.
Let's make it
I know. I'd never heard that BM or any of the car companies were making movies. Is anyone else doing it? Is Holden doing it? Is Lexus making the?
Holden's janky.
Or is this just just the start of it? It's just BMW's doing it?
It's not the start. It's a continuation of work they did in the 2000s. I think it's the start. I don't think anyone else has done these short films. There've always been like extended features on cars, but not really like this, I don't think.
They should have like Daniel Craig walk in the background past the BMW.
Just shaking his head.
Yep. Oh, they weren't BMWs with him, were they? It was only Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan had a 7 Series, and now it's all Aston Martins again.
Yeah, well, let's get Pierce Brosnan just to walk past. He's just in a nice suit.
Maybe he does. Maybe because he had like that. He had the 7 Series that he could control from his phone.
Yeah.
Maybe he's driving from the back seat and he just kind of crashes and looks embarrassed because he doesn't know. That'd be quite good. No,
that's a handy. I want to get that phone app. How do you get that phone app? Or is it just for BMWs?
It's just for BMWs.
Oh, I can't afford a BMW.
So now you want a BMW?
Just so I can drive it with my phone.
Yeah. Who's in this? Clive Owen, John Bernthal, Dakota Fanning, and Vera Farmiga.
Dakota Fanning perks my interest there.
I see. Yeah, and it's directed by Neil Blomkamp, so I'm wondering if that head we saw last week is also somehow related to this.
I hope so. I hope that's a
Maybe
BMW head.
Maybe that's what they're escaping, a head, a gross head.
Maybe that's someone's head after the BMW runs over it.
Oh dear.
That's not a very good promotion.
Well, I don't know. It kind of is. I mean, you want your car to. You don't want to get run over by a BMW. But if you own a BMW, you want to be able to just steamroll the proles out of the way so you can get onto them.
Suppose. Yeah.
All right. And lastly, I'm guessing you don't know about this either. A Town Called Panic. They're making more stuff. A Town Called Panic is a baffling French stop motion animation series. It was a series of 25-minute shorts in 2002 that were dubbed into English by Aardman Animation, who made Wallace and Gromit. There was a movie in 2009 as well. Now there's going to be more of adventures of Cowboy and Indian and Horse. The bad news for those of us who know the Aardman dub is that this is a different dub. It's American, so we don't have the wonderful, we don't have Horse's amazing accent. I suspect we won't have Janine or Stephen either. No, Stephen. I don't know if we're going to get that, but yes, it's more A Town Called Panic. It's more baffling and surreal and non-stop, nonsensical adventures of these little toy figures in their Town Called Panic. It looks, it. I don't know if this premise can support like anything close to a feature length. They were 5 minutes long. I don't know if you could sit through a half hour of continuous jumping from one ridiculous thing to the next. I don't know. We'll have to see. And the horse doesn't sound right. But still, they're making more A Town Called Panic. So that's exciting, I think. You'll either know this or not and be baffled or intrigued. I'm tentatively excited because it's more A Town Called Panic. I'm guessing, again, you're not familiar with A Town Called Panic.
I'm not. Okay. And I was going to... You did say there were 25-minute long things. I was going to say, are they 25-minute or 25 minutes?
The second one.
Yeah, 25-minute little clips. Yeah, I'm not that keen. It looks rather silly.
It is silly. It's wonderful. There's a horse.
A little bit too silly.
It's great. It's great. It's full of Welsh people.
Yeah, those Welsh.
Always mining coal and singing songs.
Yeah. Always inside of Wales. It just feels very much like Robot Chicken to someone who doesn't know A Town Called Panic. I don't know like their brain and the stuff they've done before. So it just feels like Robot Chicken, except half-assed. And I don't like Robot Chicken, so.
Well, it's not pop cultural at all.
Yeah.
So, it's just a bit silly, I think. But it'll be fun. It'll be super fun. Okay, all right. Shall we move on to things?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. We normally do Pitchtron at this point, but we're going to skip it this week as I have had to take out the Schlond poofer and get it reserviced, and not at all because we're running over. So let's move on to
that sounded so gross. Your Schlong poofer?
Schlond poofer.
Your Schlong the poofer?
Schlond poofer? Please Google this so you know we're not horribly homophobic, but the Schlond poofer is an iconic part of the 2012 web series Barbie Life in the Dream House, which I discovered for some reason, which I think we'll get to. Oh, no, we won't. Never mind. Okay. Let's move on to things I've watched this week. With the last 2 weeks, in fact, because I haven't watched that much recently, because I've been marathoning A Town Called Panic, reacquainting myself with that wonderful nonsense. So I saw Teeb. Teeb is it Jordanian? I think it's Jordanian. Film about a kid called Teeb who's it is Jordanian. Yes, he is. His name means lion, and this takes place during the First World War, during sort of the campaigns of Lawrence of Arabia. We don't see Lawrence of Arabia, but this is definitely that same part of history. And he's just camping out in the desert with his family, doing what he normally does in this very arid landscape, when an Englishman just sort of appears out of the darkness one night and he's on his way to blow up the railway, as they do. And his brother is sent to accompany him to guide him through this dangerous passage. And Teeb, of course, stows away, follows them to go on his own adventure. It's good for the first act or so. It is like a fun, like it's a good story of a kid going on an adventure. It's very, very minimalist. It's very, 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 very meditative, I guess, as well. And it sort of starts very well, but for the last 2 acts or so, it kind of meanders a little. It meanders quite a lot, and to my mind, it lost a bit of its initiative. I think it just became a bunch of things that were happening, and didn't seem like that was the point. It was just some things that were happening. It looks really, really good. It's an amazing looking film. It's got some fantastic visuals, some pretty good performances. This kid's name is, what is this kid's name? This is awful. Jasir Eid El Huitat. Oh, I've mangled that. Sorry. Yes. So it's a movie with good performances. It looks really good, filmed in Body Rum. It's just not that exciting, particularly. It's not, hugely compelling. Still interesting if you're interested in that part of the world or just want to see something different. But otherwise, it's not that exciting. I also saw 9x10 Navanta through the Auckland Film Society. 9x10 Navanta is a series of short films put together by some contemporary Italian filmmakers from old archival footage. So it's really, really interesting. For the most part, it is kind of this old footage, sort of from the time of Mussolini, even earlier. So it's World War I to, I guess, about the 60s. Covers a lot of the material, with a lot of voiceovers over the top to kind of stitch it all together into a narrative. A lot of it's quite interesting. We see like a lot of footage of old Italy during the fascist regime, during the 60s, during the fallout of the fascist regime, during World War One. It's kind of interesting how some of these narratives are put together. We get one about a miracle from the Virgin Mary. We get a potted history of feminism in Italy. A few whimsical tales as well that are put together. It's really, really interesting to see how it's put together, to see these different filmmakers. I didn't really understand the context when I went and saw it, because I thought it was a series of old short Italian films, because they flash up the names of of all the different filmmakers at the start, but they also flash up old period photos of filmmakers. I think it's just general photos from the archive of people who happen to be holding cameras, which of course I thought was the filmmakers themselves. So I thought this was all period films until clearly it wasn't. So that was confusing. Which was, I mean, I guess it was kind of good because you see it without really understanding what it is and see how it works in terms of conveying how these little films work in terms of conveying themselves. Yes. So it was an interesting film to see if you want to. I thought it was worth seeing. I probably wouldn't have seen it on my own initiative. I thought it was still a pretty solid film. I also saw did this movie come out in 2013? That's amazing. I think it did. I'm just going to check this because I still can't believe it. It's, oh God. I saw the film Phantom. It's, yeah, a submarine film from the year 2013 that looks like it's from 1998. It stars Ed Harris, and David Duchovny and William Fichtner. It's about a Russian submarine, loosely the K-129 that sank and then was partially recovered by the CIA. So it's the story of this secret submarine that never came back. It sucks, basically. It's a really, really interesting premise. It's got some good performance moments from Ed Harris, but it's not his best work. It's kind of these people. He's kind of just phoning it in a lot of the case. William Fichtner isn't as off the leash as he is when he's at his best. When he's allowed to be at his best is when he's bonkers. It's a really weak and bad film. Basically, it's not a particularly good submarine film. It's not a particularly. It's got some good moments. It's got an interesting ending. That then kind of just turns into the ending from Titanic with less subtlety. So it's quite bad. It's just so janky and hackneyed. It's such a waste of Ed Harris. It's kind of there's a lot of like stock footage of contemporary ports with people with Russian music played over it, so you feel like it's Russia, and it's clearly just like Barcelona in the year 2010. But blah, 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 Russia, blah, would you like a tea cake? Let's drink vodka. Oi, it's bad. Don't see it. But also kind of amazing, but don't see it because it's bad. Also, I have fond memories of it for no reason. It's bad. It's real bad. Lance Henriksen is in it briefly. That's still bad. Still real bad. Real bad. Just bad. And finally, again, is through the Auckland Film Society, also the 1951 Michael Powell opus, The Tales of Hoffman. The Tales of Hoffman is a cinematic version of an opera, so it's filmed, but it still is very much produced in the tradition. It's an opera. It's produced in the tradition of an opera. A lot of the sets are none too different to a dressed theatre. It's about a man called Hoffman. There was a real Hoffman, E.T.A. Hoffman, but this is clearly not a grounded interpretation of his life, because this Hoffman is one of literature's great twits. He's recounting the story of his three great loves, which were all stupid, because he is apparently just completely blind. The first of his loves was a puppet, and he didn't realize she was a puppet because at some point a spectacle maker has convinced him to wear these spectacles that are kind of they're basically reverse they live spectacles, so they allow him to see things that aren't real rather than see what's really real. So because he's wearing these and is fully aware of how they work, he just doesn't think to take them off and actually look at this puppet that he's in love with at any point. So he sort of spends the first act of this film wandering around wearing these wonderfully ridiculous looking spectacles. Robert Hiltman, the great Australian ballet dancer, who you may know as the child snatcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, is in this, sporting a variety of amazing makeup that it completely ignores the very notion of subtlety, as it well should in this. Oh my god, it's bonkers. It's about an idiot who keeps falling in love with women and singing about them. And his best friend Niklaus, who wanders around behind him, just shaking his head at Hoffman's ridiculous antics. It's kind of wonderful because it's very silly and it's full of these over the top and campy performances, but it goes on way too long. It's just there's scenes that are just way too long. There's songs where you could cut out at least half the verses and it'd still be just as effective. But it is kind of this wonderful tale of an idiot and his loves and how much he sings about them. My absolute favorite moment is when his first love, Olympia, the puppet lady, is revealed to be a puppet by the fight of her foppish dad and the wonderfully be-eyebrowed Robert Hiltman. And he comes to realize this, and when his glasses get smashed, he didn't think to take them. It's so stupid. And he comes in and realizes as she's being disassembled rapidly, and he just sings, "She's automatic." It's wonderful. It's wonderful and stupid, and you should see it if you've got absolutely nothing else to do, because it is quite long and it's a bit of a slog, but it's so stupid, but so wonderful and stupid and wonderful. It's pretty much what I've seen. I've been marathoning A Town Called Panic and Deep Space Nine. Apart from that, right, and thinking about Star Wars a lot. What's up with you, Terry?
Well, I've watched a hell of a lot of things since we didn't do last week, but I'm not going to go through a hell of a lot of things. This week we had the first episode of American Horror Story season 6, Roanoke, I think it's pronounced. Roanoke, that sounds better. I had that right the first time when I was saying it in my head, and then it came out wrong. So yes, I watched that this week. I watched seasons 1 and 2, part of season 3, which was Coven. I couldn't really get into. I started watching the Funhouse one. I can't think of what that was actually called. And Hotel, I haven't seen at all. And that's what I kind of like about American Horror Story. I can miss a couple of years and come back into season 6, and I don't need to know what's going on in the previous seasons through the anthology season, through the anthology type of way they do it. So yeah, I kind of didn't like it. It was all right. It's pretty much there's the interracial couple in LA. He gets beat up and they don't feel safe in LA, so they move to the small country town that he used to grow up in. Now I can't say it. I'm going to say Roanoke again. That's not it.
You want me to say it?
Yes.
Roanoke.
Roanoke.
Is it Virginia? I think so.
Yeah. Roanoke.
There you go.
Now I've said it the other way. It's making me stop and think. And I didn't like the way it was done. It's done but like of a documentary reenactment sort of thing. So you have two characters in the interview stage telling us what's happening, but then you have Sarah Paulson and Cuba Gooding Jr. being the reenactors of it. It's an interesting way of the way they're doing it, but I don't know if it really grabbed me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to episode 2 because we didn't get a lot of the whole world that we're kind of getting introduced to here. We only got to see the 2 characters played by 4 people in this. So yeah, I hope season 2 really episode 2 shows us a lot more, because I wasn't too hooked on this one, and I don't want it to go the same way as it did with Coven. I just couldn't get into Coven, even though Kathy Bates was fantastic when I saw her in it. So that happened. I watched The Addams Family, 1991. Raoul is in it, and Angelique Houston, and my second love, Christina Ricci.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
How many second loves do you have?
Just the one.
Okay.
Alexis Bledel is number 1.
Take that, wife.
Well, my second celebrity crush, should I say.
Okay.
Yeah, this is so fun. This deserves more people to like it. I was just looking at IMDb. It's got a rating of 6.8 on the Metacritic. It deserves an 8 at least. It's a great reincarnation of this.
It's so well regarded.
Yeah, the first one is.
Yeah.
The 2 sequels aren't great.
2 sequels?
Yeah, they made Addams Family Values and Addams Family something else. But Raoul died after the second one, so they recast him in the third one, and it just came out really, really bad, as prequels do. Yeah, everyone should be watching The Addams Family again. It's such a fun movie. Now I'm watching going, yeah, maybe my son shouldn't be watching the guy playing the snake like a saxophone, but he did love Thing. Like my 2-year-old son, he loved Thing running around.
What's wrong with the man playing a snake like a saxophone?
I don't want him to think he can pick up a snake and play it like a saxophone.
Oh yeah, that's a legitimate concern actually. Yes, fair enough.
So yes, Adam's Family. Watch it again. It's well worth it. I can't remember if I told you I watched, or said in the podcast, I watched Schindler's List. I think that was last week. Schindler's List and Amistad and The Lost World. So I've done three Spielbergs. Two of them are wrote. So Amistad is still in pre-production on the writing. It's still in development on the writing side of things for my Spielberg reviewed series. I liked it. I didn't know what to expect. Like with Schindler's List and Amistad, I've never really known what they're about. I knew Schindler's List was something about the Jews, but that was pretty much my extent of it. That was my extent of the knowledge of it. I'd never actually looked into it or saw it or anything. And Amistad, I had no idea what that was about at all until I watched it. And it took me a little while to get into it. I just stopped it and started like 3 times because I just kept getting lost and disinterested. But I got in there. And I liked it. Schindler's List is phenomenal. It's so good. I can see the hype about it now. Yes. And Money Monster, 2016's George Clooney movie. It's fun.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say it's fun. It's not like the greatest thing in the world, but there is tension there, and it does hook you in, and you want to see it. But it's not the greatest thing in the world. There's a lot of dialogue that you can pick up at the start and go, okay, this is where it's going to lead. So you kind of get the feeling of where it's going to lead and what happens. But it's worth watch. I think it's good. It's worth watching. 3 stars. 3 out of 5. Not out of 10. 3 out of 5. That's what I've seen this week.
Let's see.
And so coming out this week, the coming week, so which will be the 29th in Australia, we have Mrs. What's the face? Mrs. Peregrine, Home for Peculiar Children. So this is Tim Burton's X-Men movie, it looks like. Yeah, there's some funny things in it. There's the floating girl and someone with the mouth on the back of her head. That looks pretty creepy. I do like that one. But the rest of it, I really don't care about. So I think you're looking forward to that, though, aren't you?
I kind of am. It looks like Tim Burton going back to what Tim Burton does best. And Eva Green has a crossbow at one point, so sold.
I do like Eva Green. And Sam Jackson, isn't it? So
Oh, is he?
apparently. I wrote it down here, so I hope it is. I did write this quite some time ago.
He's left the project.
Maybe. And the Magnificent Seven's coming out. So Denzel, Chris Pratt, and lots of other people gunslinging on horses and up against steep odds. It's going to be cool. I hope Chris Pratt does a dance off with one of them. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Magnificent Seven. I'm really keen to see the remake of the remake. So yeah, anything different or interesting coming out in New Zealand, Kim?
Hitchcock Truffaut is out. It's a documentary about Alfred Hitchcock. What do we got here? Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. The first Monday in May. Sorry. Yes, The Magnificent Seven is also out, and Operation Avalanche is getting I assume, limited release. This is my favorite movie of the year so far, but maybe it isn't. Who knows? I don't know where it's playing just yet. I assume it's a little, it's going to be a little limited, so it'll be more the Rialto and the Academy potentially in Auckland. I don't know where else it'll be playing. So yes, get along to see that. Tell me if it's good, because it feels amazing to me, but I really want to know what other people think.
As long as it makes you feel good, that's all that matters.
It does. And yes, that's what's out.
So what are you seeing? Anything in particular? Are you going to see Tim Burton? I'm keen to see Magnificent Seven.
I want to get to Magnificent Seven. I'll probably see Operation Avalanche again, and I'll get to Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children if I can, at some point in my life.
So it's not one of those ones you're rushing out Thursday night to see.
No.
All right, well, I think that's us all wrapped up for the week.
Pretty much. So if you want to read the main blog, it's at sfdfmoviereviews.tumblr.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sfdfmoviereviews. You can find us on Twitter at sfdfmoviereview, singular, because we didn't have enough letters. If you just want to listen to the podcast, you can find it at soundcloud.com/sfdf or wherever good SoundClouds are found. We're also on iTunes, just search SFDF. If you want to email us, you can get to us at inspace@gmail.com. And if you want to find all these things, because I've mumbled my way through them, you can find all of this linked as well as many other good stuff down the right side of the main blog, which again is SFDF Movie Reviews. Whew. Okay. So yes, that's all of it for now from us. So we'll see you next week. Say goodbye, Terry.
Goodbye, Terry.
Okay, bye.